Hello everyone, welcome to this meetup and thank you for coming to this meetup and making it happen. So this meetup is organized by Civic Tech Sweden in collaboration with OpenHeroines. We'll talk about what is Civic Tech Sweden and what is OpenHeroines later on. The agenda behind doing this meetup is to talk about what is Civic Tech and what it means for every one of us and how we can collaborate and create a Civic Tech community in Sweden. Apart from that, as you saw that we are doing it in collaboration with OpenHeroines. We are also trying to build a Civic Tech community which is inclusive to women as well. I hope that after this meetup we can talk more about how we can create that community where women are included in the Civic Tech ecosystem. So to begin with, I would like to give an introduction about what is Civic Tech and what is Civic Tech Sweden and what is OpenHeroines in general, so that we are all in the same page. And when we have two speakers, we will talk about Civic Tech in Taiwan and Nepal, and we have another speaker who is talking about Challenge Gov, and we have talk from Vinnova funding as well. We'll talk about the recent opening of Civic Tech funding. Then we're gonna have an open discussion about Civic Tech and how we can create an inclusive environment for Civic Tech in general, and how we can include more women in the Civic Tech community. So I would like to start with what is Civic Tech in general. So many of you might have heard about Civic Tech, might have been already working in the Civic Tech projects. Can any one of you just share views, some terms, some ideas about what Civic Tech means for you, not for generally, but what it means for you? Can someone share something, would like to say something? It does not have to be the perfect Civic Tech term or answer. What it means for you? Yeah.
Maybe people-powered digital solutions for public trust.
Yes, that's true. It encloses people-power trust. Yeah. Something else? Anyone would like to add?
And I'm going to use the microphone so that everyone can hear them.
Okay.
So whenever you speak, even if you think it's not important, everyone needs to hear the intro. So no pressure.
Anyone wants to add anything?
I can take the next one. For me,
okay.
Civic Tech means friends. I mean, I've been in the community in different countries for 5 years now, maybe, and it's crazy. I was in Barcelona again for a conference 2 weeks ago, and I met new people like Yun Shen, we're gonna hear from Taiwan. I met people from Mexico. I mean, it's a huge crowd of a lot of change makers that work on a lot of different projects. And every time I come to a project and we have a new challenge, I just reach out to the community and I get hundreds of answers, hundreds of open source projects that I can use. It's just been great working in Civic Tech because there's so many crazy people working in that from any countries. You discover new exciting things every day. Yep. Next one.
Well, I guess Civic Tech represents for me is it's also it relates to what you were saying too, but grassroots developed tech. It's by the people for the people, instead of someone coming up with an excellent idea that will make a lot of money and be useful. But it primarily comes from a need that many people share and is developed in alignment with that need, I'd say.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for sharing your views. Yes, Civic Tech is what all you said, and there's no perfect this definition that encompasses what Civic Tech actually is. But to try to give you an overview of what is Civic Tech, often known as civic technology or Civic Tech in short, is a technology that enables engagement, that, as he mentioned, developing the people's trust through engagement with the relationship between people and government, making it stronger through different technological tools, per se, through different types of government service delivery, and a lot of other things. Civic Tech in general means the relationship through technology, building a relationship between governments, citizens, to develop the trust and hold the government more accountable per se. And there's a lot more thing that encompasses civic tech in general. So if we look at this report from Knight Foundation in 2013, civic tech, as you can see, in all these areas, these are the trends that are in civic tech. So here you can see the investment type that are private, grant or without no okay. So there are different kind of trends in civic tech, and if we look at the investment type, there are private, grant, and no investment as well. So if you look at this bigger chunk here, it is P2P local sharing. There is public decision making that you might have already heard about, and that's also civic tech. There's data access and transparency as well. There's neighborhood forums, civic crowdfunding, information crowdsourcing, community organizing. As he said about friends, that's community organizing. That's also civic tech. So this all encompasses civic tech. If you look at this, per se here, the whole civic tech that lies in the intersection with crowdfunding, social network, community organizing, government data, and collaborative consumption. This all encompasses civic tech. Civic tech is really broad, and it has different elements, different areas where it intersects with those areas in some ways, as you can see here. So to talk about civic tech ecosystem in the whole world, the biggest organization that does civic tech, I would say, is Code for All, and it is made of a lot of collaborative organization, the chapters of Code for All in different parts of the world, as you can see in the map. So there's Code for Australia. They are really active, and they are doing a lot of projects. You can have a look at them as well as an example of civic tech and what people are doing around the world. There's Code for Germany. They have different chapters to the civic tech organization in different parts of Germany. They are also doing a lot of work in the field of civic tech. So after this discussion that I just share a brief introduction of what is civic tech and what it means and what are kind of work that people are doing in the world, then what actually is civic tech? Civic tech is about open data and transparency, but it's not only limited to that. It's about gov tech, but it's also not limited to that. So it's also about tech for good for people, but it's also not limited to that. So it's about sharing economy, and then it's also not limited to that. If we say civic tech as a whole, what is it about, then the definition does not matter much. What matters is what kind of change or what kind of positive change in the environment, the society, and the world it enables, it brings. That's what civic tech is.
Oh, sorry. Can you make one example? Because I couldn't really understand the concept.
So we're gonna have, oh, okay, 3 presentations with full of examples that will give the bigger insight of what are the implementation that have been done in different parts of the world. Is that okay? Yeah.
And in Sweden.
Yeah, and Sweden. Yeah. So now to talk about Civic Tech Sweden. I guess most of you have heard about Civic Tech Sweden and what it is, and a few of you have attended the previous meetups as well, I guess. So Civic Tech Sweden is a network of individual, organization, public sector working to make possibilities that comes with digital technology fit as many people living in Sweden, within Sweden. That's what Civic Tech Sweden is. So in Civic Tech Sweden, we believe in open governance. That is, everything is decided democratically within the organization. We form our decisions, we take steps on the basis of that democracy, and we believe on open governance. So far we have done 5 hackathons, and we have 15 meetups. So there are a lot of projects that is ongoing within Civic Tech, and you all can join that project as well, or start your own. I will talk about it a little bit later. To talk about some of the project, we are working on a project called Open Procurement, where we are trying to release the procurement data and trying to create meaningful visualization for the citizens and the governments, how they can benefit from that. And we are trying to vouch for open data in the government field. So another project that we are doing that is quite interesting is Handlingar, which is a platform to request information to the government about anything that you think government should open. It is about right to information. So hearing all of these things, the few things that I just said, if you are interested to join Civic Tech Sweden, then you can go to civictech.se and then find a project you want to collaborate. If you think it's the project that fits you, then you can just go and then join the project, or you can start your own project as well. You can also join the chat that we have in chat.civictech.se and then continue the conversation further. So that's about Civic Tech Sweden, and now I'm going to talk about OpenHeroines. So has anyone here heard about OpenHeroines? Yeah. Two? Yeah. Okay. So to talk about OpenHeroines, OpenHeroines is a global community where we have a lot of members, around 600 online remote members, where we talk about, it is the voice for all those who identify as women in the field of civic tech, open data, and open governance. We are online community where we discuss topics about, let's say, open governance or open procurement and other topics. We help each other, we support each other, and we are always trying to help each other and bring all of us together in the field of open government and civic tech. So before moving to Sweden, I posted in the Civic Tech Slack channel that I wanted to move to Sweden, and I'm looking for opportunities, if there are any, to work in the field of civic tech, as I was working back in Nepal in the field of civic tech. So from that, I got connected to Civic Tech Sweden. That's how the network is, and that's how helpful it is for the women in general. So to talk about how it started, so it started in October 2015. So a group of women participated in the Open Government Partnership Conference, and right after that conference, women had a discussion about how they feel that there are less women in the field of civic tech, open procurement as a whole, and they decided to form a global community, a Slack team, where they can share rant about their daily work life as well, and most simplest things that they can share about. That's the platform there. So if you are interested, join the Slack channel account. I would like to start with my introduction. Hello everyone. I'm Susma Giri, and I'm from Nepal. I recently moved to Sweden, and I'm currently studying my master's degree in Stockholm University. Before moving to Nepal, I was associated with a civic tech organization where I worked for more than 2 years, called Kathmandu Living Labs, where I work in various civic tech projects that I will talk about in the presentation later. Maybe start from here. Yes. Just a little bit of introduction, yeah.
Sorry, if you don't want to start.
Yeah, we can go from there as well.
Well, hi. Do I just introduce myself?
Yeah, and say something about you, what you do on a daily basis, or any project that you are doing, if there are, yeah.
Okay, well, my name is Maria. I work for the Riksrevisionen, Swedish Supreme Audit Institution, and I'd never heard about civic tech before coming here. I just joined a friend, but I thought it was an interesting topic, so I came to find out more.
That's nice.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm working at a regional council, which is in Sweden, organizing like healthcare and also infrastructure investments, and I work in a field called regional development. I'm an analyst there, and I'm really interested in how we can work more with open data to share insights, and also, well, since my field is very based on innovation and trying to contribute to the regional development, of my county. I'm interested in how we can develop our practices. So I'm more from a government perspective.
Hi everybody, my name is Marisol. I hear about the event through Pink Programming. Pink Programming is a group of women in tech as well who help each other to get into the field and support them as a network. And I have never heard about those topics, so it's really interesting. What I do is I as well try to help women develop their own projects as a project manager, and it's very much front-end web development.
Hi, my name is Adrian. I work for the Swedish government's innovation agency, Vinnova, and there I work with promoting public sector innovation. Currently we have a call for proposals for project funding in Civic Tech, so that's super relevant to be here tonight. And also I'm quite engaged in a network or movement called One Team Gov, which is a movement for the renewal of public sector.
Hello, my name is Sven-Erik. I currently work as a solution architect at the Swedish Police Authority, and I have been a bit involved at Swedish Police in open data activities in the Hack for Sweden community. But I have not been involved in Civic Tech before, so I'm curious about the concept. That's why I'm here tonight. But I'm also a bit involved in the One Team Gov community, along with Adrian and more people.
You saw me leaning to like wanting to speak. My name is Sarah Lidbaum. So fun because some of you I know on LinkedIn, but I've never met you in person. So I'm going to say hi to you afterwards. I was always very intrigued by citizen empowerment and how our digital development changes the ways our democracy, like how the power relationship between the state and the citizen is changing. Currently I'm working as an IT consultant, so I'm more like in standard IT business, but this is actually what I would like to move towards, so to speak. And I wrote my, I was studying computer system sciences, and then I wrote my thesis on newly arrived refugee youths and like digital democratic, how they engage with the democratic system in Sweden when they arrive here. So I was very glad when I saw this meetup, and I'm looking forward to talking to you all afterwards and see what kind of exciting experiments we can do together.
Hello, my name is Marcus. I can just agree with Sarah that this field is super interesting, and I can really see that it's growing fast as well. So it's going to be fun to learn some more here tonight. I work at SafeSpring, a Swedish cloud service company that's based on open source and open data. So we are moving towards this, and I think it's just going to be a huge part of IT in the future.
Tony Mizkovic, Open Knowledge Sweden, currently co-chairing. Well, we're similar to Civic Tech in a way because we've been involved in a number of projects, follow different trends. Currently, we are completing a study on using data to challenge and inhibit corruption in the Baltic Sea region with the Nordic Council. That's being at the moment, but we've been involved in a number of projects actually jointly with OpenHeroines in its first phase, and well, there's the story of crossover is very large since this is a very it's a very democratic field, as we mentioned earlier. So a lot to talk about. Very interesting to meet all of you and hear about your projects.
Hi, Angela Young here, working, well, employed at SMHID Met, Weather and Climate Institute, but working with both the Swedish regional agency and for DIC. So I'm like working for the Swedish government, I think. And I'm hanging a little around with One Team Gov together with Adrian and Sven-Erik also. And well, I'm very interested in open government, open innovation, and open data. That's what I've been working with for the past 4 years, but mostly towards the different government agencies. But I kind of, I'm quite enthusiastic even with time. but I've not actually found good initiatives yet. So perhaps we can chat afterwards to see what we can experiment with.
Right. Hello. My name is Isadora. I am actually an employee at the Internet Foundation, and the building you're in, not the whole building, but this floor as well, Goto 10, the meeting space. But I'm not here as that role in particular, but also out of my own genuine personal interest. I'm from Sweden, but I've lived almost half my life outside of it. And many of these years I was in Montreal, moved here 2 years ago, and I was involved in looking a lot at how different communities actually try to achieve social change through internet-specific technologies, and that's where my interest has been lying ever since, internet freedoms and rights. And I love seeing how communities are growing and coming together here in Sweden, and it's I want to be a part of it. It's beautiful. So I'm curious to see what's gonna happen.
Hello, my name is Iman, and I'm studying bachelor's in physics. I don't have any previous connection to Civic Tech, but I don't know, I wanted to know more about it. I heard about it through Sushma. Yeah, I think, I don't know, I think it could be interesting maybe to join something, so yeah.
Hi, I'm Nima, and I'm in the social field. So I have not much contact with the digital field, and this is my first formal contact with Civic Tech Sweden. But working in the social field, you see a lot of issues that need new solutions, and I think some of them need to be digital. So I'm here out of curiosity and got the information from Vinnova about the meeting.
Hi, my name is Pierre. I came to Sweden 3 years ago, I think. Yeah, I was involved in Civic Tech before in France. Civic Tech community is quite big, and when I came to Sweden, I was like, shit, I want to be in the same community, and it didn't exist then. So we created it with some friends 2 years ago, and now it's really cool to see all these people. So what I do in most of my time, I work for a democracy lab that's based in Göteborg, and we work, for example, with helping cities like Göteborg or Stockholm to do participatory processes in which they can involve citizens, and when there is a potential, we equip them with digital platforms as well. And then on my free time, I work with Sushma, for example, opening public procurement in Sweden. I work with lobbying in the parliament. I work on a lot of different projects that we have that I think are really cool. Yeah, so my hobbies are anti-corruption, and my main job is citizen participation, let's say. Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, my name is Kashin. I also heard information through Pink. Yeah, and that's also a organization for girls who want to code or have some information about technique. And I found this, I didn't understand what is civic technique before, but so that's why I want to know more. And I'm currently studying front-end developing right now, so I want to see more diversity of that. And you need website, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Thank you for the introduction. Now we will hear what Yunchen from Taiwan has to say about Civic Tech in Taiwan and what it is like. So yeah, I will have her on board. She has been hearing us this while. Hello. Yeah. Hello, Yunchen. Hey.
Okay, so
yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, can you share your slides with us quickly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see the slide. Now you can start. Yeah.
So, can everybody hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so Hi, I'm Yun Chen from Taiwan. I mostly participate in a Civic Tech community. We call ourselves Gov0. It's on the string. Basically, it's changing the O in gov.tw into 0. So at first, it's a hacking technique because the government really sucks. Then maybe we can build a mirror website that's ends with Gov0. So I was watching the live streaming, so I heard everybody's introduction. It's very nice to meet you. And I want to share my experience in Gov0 and in Civic Tech, but that maybe just be a part of the Civic Tech and only my understanding instead of represent a community, because Gov0 is a decentralized and multi-centered community that no one can really represent it. So let me introduce it. So for me, Gov0 is an open community for civic participation. I will focus more on how do we build an inclusive, open by default community rather than the Civic Tech projects we are working on. So for me, Civic Tech is everybody can change the society. And like one lady mentioned in the introduction, is of the people, by the people, for the people. So for what we are doing, so we build a platform to let them know. But for me, it should be moved to the right side. It's empower and collaborate. Citizens can take the initiative. They can initiate the agenda setting process. So this is the first Gov0 project. Is Gov0 community started in 2012 by a bunch of engineers. I personally started to participate in 2014. So here is Chinese. You don't understand, it's okay. It's a central government budget. Nobody wants to read it, but they make it in a hackathon that's into budget visualization. The reason they do that because the government released an advertisement saying that the policy is too complicated, just trust the government. And they were very angry that, do you think citizens are idiots or something? So they create the budget visualization so people can look into how many budget of education, national defense, or police. And starting from that, they use the money they win in the hackathon to start the next Gov0 hackathon. And since that, we have around more than, I think, 40 hackathons every 2 months to run the momentum. So I want to give you more examples, like what Gov0 community does. I try to avoid using we because I don't represent Gov0. So this is Sunflower movement in 2014. A group of students, activists occupy the parliaments to protest against the government to sign an unfair treaty with China. But anyway, in that time, Gov0 community supports like live streaming, Wi-Fi, and this one is called Hack Folder. At that time, every live streaming also there are people doing transcribe. So because no one can watch all the live streaming, so at each person, they got the 15 minutes and write a transcribe and put on it collaborative notes. So this tool is developed by the Gov0 community. Later, this tool also being used in typhoon reaction, like, or after earthquake. How did you quickly gather all the information very fast? And people can distribute small works like doing transcribe, and we need sleep bags here. We need some kind of donation. So that's one example that we try to make things decentralized by our technology. And also another example is called Kofax. It's a Line bot. So Line is like WhatsApp or Telegram, very popular in Taiwan. Many users of it join many close messaging groups, but they don't know how to Google, so they don't know how to fact check. So this Line bot has a database that maintained by a group of volunteers. So you can forward the rumor, you don't know if it's true or not, and a Line bot will send it to the database, and the volunteers will do the fact checking and send it back. And all this data are open data and free to add your opinion. And another one example is the online crowdsourcing Taiwanese dictionary. Many young people in Taiwan now don't know how to speak Taiwanese, especially new word, how to speak Civic Tech in Taiwanese. So you can upload Taiwanese on this website to keep this language alive. And another example is some people develop air pollution sensors in a cheaper way. So they collaborate with governments, private company to set up in elementary school and link to this website and open the data. So you can see the Taiwan overall or the sensor next to your house to know the air pollution quality, air quality, I'm sorry. And another one, I go very fast. It's political contributions, digitalization. According to law, all the political contributions to our MP or congressman in the parliament need to be open, but they only open in paper. They claim that they don't have digital files. So that was 5 years ago. This year, they finally opened the digital file in open data format. Not really, just open digital. So for 5 years ago, someone went into the government to get a copy and scan it and make it like reCAPTCHA. So this one is just 4 words. It type it. And I think there are more than 10,000 people join online to help to digitalize hundreds of assets. So let me jump these pages. So I emphasize more on civil society point of view, but we also do other projects as collaboration with the government. So like using digital tools to analyze policy and bring live streaming into some government consultation meetings. And So I will try to grab it. Like, how do we do this? I really value a lot open collaboration. How to do decentralized open SD for everybody can contribute. So first is everything is open source, including the program code. The hackathon is a place for people to meet and develop an idea, make a prototype. And maybe after the hackathon, we will have meetup for different projects to continue the projects they are developing. We also try to include as diverse people as possible. So you can see on the screen, there are many profession stickers, not only programmers. In GovZero, only 30 to 40% are developers. Other people are journalists, designers, lawyers, academic researchers. We want everybody to feel they can contribute something to the community. So I would jump very fast. Okay, so we really do open SD for. So for example, like in the hackathon, you can just sign up. You want to present on the Google Sheet, and with a lot of projects, they do really good documentation, like what the beginner can join. If you're editors, if you're designers, what you can do. And you will see every meeting records on this website too. So you can see why we decide to develop that features, or like if the media wants to interview some people in the project, we usually ask them to open an online document. So everybody who wants to be interviewed can answer on it. And okay, so to visualize the open collaboration, there was a GovZero exhibition a few years ago. Basically, they printed out all our discussions on one project and make an art hacking spot. Some people think this is not art, but I think that this really presents that when we want to show what GovZero is, we open the table, open the space, so people can register online what they want to do during the exhibition time. So finally, I want to share our culture. We call it dig, push, fail. A hole on the ground. It's a project. So the digger is someone to initiate it. The pusher is, someone to push someone into the hole to fill it. And yeah, the fail, the unlucky one, they need to fill it. But we value all those contribution. So I want to share the slide. It say, what are you doing? Nobody can stop them. And that person say, I'm nobody. And that's the spirit I see in Civic Tech, and also to make an open community. So that's the end of my sharing.
Can we take a few questions? I think we have time for that.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you for this presentation. I just wanted to say from across the globe, I mean, it's very interesting how you acquire a lot of momentum and strength from a very strong practice of open culture inside the organization. I think I wanted to emphasize that it's not really a question, but maybe it is a question, the fact that, am I understanding correctly that that's kind of, despite the different sectors and the different types of people that are working in GovZero, generally the practice of openness, so keeping your own records, setting an example for government, for society, through your own practices and culture, is probably the priority. Is that a correct understanding?
Yes, and I want to clarify that GovZero is not an organization. We are not registered as an legal entity. So it's a very loose community. Yeah, and so when we say open, we not only ask the governments to open, but also I think in my collaboration with some civil society organizations, we are also thinking like, how do we make civil society more open?
Another question, or?
I'm kind of curious, what was the first reaction when you kind of launched gov.tw from both perhaps the government and the general public? What was the reaction like? Yes or no?
So it's g0v.tw. And so when this first launched, I haven't participated in the community yet. So I can just tell from my perspective. So my perspective is that, oh, there are genius engineers that develop really good tools, like Chrome extension that warns you are watching fake news. So I started to use those tools. And as for the government, I think at first the government doesn't realize it until the Sunflower movement that students occupied the parliament for 1 month, and suddenly all people are mobile, are using internet to do something. So the government realized that I need to use the internet too. I need to open my channels to talk to citizens instead of just. So I think before that they think the problem was that they didn't explain clear enough. But after that, they realized is they need more participation. And I think GovZero kind of play as a bridge that creates some technology platform to do so. So a famous example is Free Taiwan. They try to use this platform to discuss Uber regulation in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks for a really interesting presentation. I would like to ask, what do you think is the main motivation for all these talented people to engage in the GovZero movement? What is the driving force behind this?
I don't know. I cannot speak for everyone, but I think it's the same reason why you are sitting here. I mean, all of you want to come to this meetup. I think it just, you realize that you can change something and your profession can help to change something. And I think one of the important spirits of GovZero is that you build it. We don't debate that much, or we ask the government and wait the government for 2 or 3 years. We have a slogan like fork the government. Fork means in open source project, if you don't like this project, you build another one. So we really value hands-on, and also from my experience, to keep people engaged, you need to break down the taxes they need to do to So for example, like if it's a meetup every week, then we only require people to use three hours a week to develop on this project. So no burden, but more laid back and casual.
Now let's close the discussion, open questions, and thank you Yoon Chen for your amazing presentation and waking up to 1 for presenting and sharing what's happening in Taiwan in terms of civic tech. Now I will mute the microphone so that you can stay and listen the other presentation if you want. Otherwise, you can go to bed as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now I would like to call Angela and present her work at ChallengeGov.
Yep. Hi everyone. Thanks, Pierre, for reaching out a week ago to asking me if I was interested in presenting. Yep. And I happen to be in Stockholm. I'm living in Norrköping. So basically, as I mentioned, I'm working with the Swedish Met Office, primarily with innovation management and coaching and open innovation. And for about 4 years ago, I started embarking on this open data journey, more towards other government agencies. And currently, for the past 2 years, I've been working with the Swedish Regional Growth Agency with regards to promoting open and data-driven innovation. And this year, even with the Digital Agency for Digital Government. So obviously, I'm working for Sweden, I hope. But for a year ago, this Tillväxtverket, or Swedish Regional Growth, had this government mission with regards to collaborating with different agencies to kind of develop a challenge-driven platform. And it's kind of the hypothesis is by having a platform, public actors, agencies might be encouraged to kind of publish their challenges, both societal challenges, but even their own challenges, and open up for open innovation. So in that project, when I worked with a year ago, we kind of delivered a beta version of the challenge platform, which is called challengesgov.se. And then we focus mainly on the process for how we match challenges with different companies. And basically in the MVP, we decided to focus on innovation competitions as the first version, I would say, for creating innovation. And basically to kind of highlight on public challenges and make it easier for you and all companies to contribute with solutions. And perhaps a great deal of having to perhaps match manually both the needs from society and government together with interesting companies or individuals who might have the solutions. And this is kind of towards the background that we have quite a great deal of open data, which is not widely used. And this platform was kind of an initiative to kind of promote open data-driven innovation and kind of give examples as to how open data could be used to create value. So what this beta project was moved on to a new government mission, which was released in May this year for this DIG, which is the Swedish Agency for Digital Government, which is quite a relatively new agency from September last year. So their mission is to increase the capacity of public administration to make more open data accessible, and even to kind of pursue open and data-driven innovation, and to increase the ability to apply AI in this case. So we did kind of have this open data as is kind of a framework, but it's not primarily only. It could be like data in general, but we do look at open data in the first place, and in the case where there's no open data available, we try to encourage the agencies to release them as test data. So we have, DIG has kind of identified a number of collaboration interfaces, and the picture on the left kind of shows the prioritized data domains that we are interested in promoting, everything to health, even to the work market and geographical information, and of course even open research data. And to the other right, we have like, for example, the civil society, civic tech equivalent perhaps, and different private sectors and different labs is ongoing, and even perhaps even in layers. And those in the middle are those partners that are specified in the government agencies that we will have to collaborate with. And as I mentioned, we are focusing primarily right now as regards to innovation competitions. Hackathons, I would say, is some kind of innovation competition. It could be part of the process. But this is one of the stuff that we are experimenting with for what we call published challenge, and we support both agencies, but even if were to come from the civil societies, different kind of people to meet up, and then we have like some kind of facilitation where we help the different people to kind of collaborate on as to for this problem identified, what kind of data sources can be interesting to kind of combine with, and how can we generate business value for that specific challenge. And we make use of service design tools to kind of design the challenge, everything from personas to customer journey, based on what kind of needs is to be fulfilled. We map it together with interesting data sources, preferably open if it's available, story building, and even some kind of communication plan. So once we have that component packaged, we will kind of open it for application. So it could be like civil society who can apply for these challenges. It could be small, medium enterprises. It depends on the challenge in question. So DIG has this kind of mission to kind of support pilots, like experiment more with published challenges as a way to promote the use of open data, but even to kind of encourage openness between government agencies and the public. So this is basically a typical journey that once we open for applications, we have a little process in the middle where we kind of select the interesting projects that have been submitted to this challenge. There might be a pitch event, there might be collabs, and then once we close the application, perhaps we have incubators to kind of help the and then perhaps if it's possible, even pilots with the agencies in question, we launch it for you. it came back. What happened? Okay, the fonts when we exported to Mac. Well, what they kind of know is that they need to develop innovative, smart, and relevant business digital services in the future, and they want help from the private companies or players in the service development. So what they did was to kind of think of, okay, what kind of issues and challenges do we have for this small medium enterprises, and how can we publish a challenge to kind of invite them to be part of the process. So what they did was they decided on a data challenge, decided to experiment with the data challenge about this thing about barriers to increase growth, which is basically lack of capital and skills, which entrepreneurs normally face when they are in the starting pits to develop their businesses. So basically they ran a competition from February to June this year, and well, it was there were a number of entrepreneurs and people who were interested in the competition, and then we received 23 competition entries and decided on 6 finalists, and where we then awarded 1 winner. So basically these 6 entries were interesting. They are all startup companies up and running. And the winning entry is basically about this employment process with AI. So right now they are continuing with this idea and recruiting more system developers to kind of make it really happen. And we are kind of helping them to make to interesting parties who might be interesting for them to collaborate with. And the other pilot that we supported was quite recently, which is called Hack Space for the Planet, between Singapore and Sweden, which was concluded very recently. So it's basically financed by DIG together with the Embassy of Sweden in Singapore. So it was Karin Nilsdotter, who is the CEO of Spaceport, one of the future astronauts, I think, who had this interesting, she's really a visionary and believes a lot in space tech, and even the use of open data, digitization, and kind of entered the partnership between the 2 ambitious countries. I would say both countries, Sweden and Singapore, want to be innovative in their own way. And the goal is to promote some kind of a bridge between these countries, and we decided to support them in defining a challenge where we combine space tech, satellite information, open information, and map it together with these 17 sustainability goals. And we focus primarily on students and entrepreneurs this time. And the response was good. 120 students from Singapore and Sweden within a week signed up for this. But we only had budget for 30 people from Sweden and Singapore. And well, one of the positive stuff was that there were many women who signed up, more than 50%, which is really good. And so basically this challenge was where we work like virtually during 3 weeks from Singapore and Sweden together. And these 4 teams, they decided to focus on 3 sustainability goals. And then we met up last Sunday for the first time between Sweden and Singapore teams, and pitched in front of, they got to pitch in front of a jury group. And then we selected one of the winners, and their entries is regards to precision farming for, in this case, Afghanistan, small farmers, small family farmers. Well, that's the idea, to combine with satellite information and provide such services for free in some sense for these farmers. And what's happening now is that we have matched them together with incubators and working spaces, and at least one of the team members will be moving on this project. So it's exciting to follow, and we will be doing a follow-up on them too. So basically we either attract with either money or maybe contact network, or even interesting partners who might be good to bring the ideas forward or the projects forward. And even in this context with Civic Tech, we are looking for new partners and challenges to, I mean, if they have any ideas on what challenges that could be interesting to experiment with, we would like to hear from you. So I would suppose if the ideas come from Civic Tech, what might happen will be we will contact interesting government agencies who might contribute with open data or maybe their resources, and even other partners from the private sector too. So basically to work on the ecosystem is something we believe in, and yeah. Open for questions, if it was not too fast. Small question. Yeah, sure.
So this is like it's more started from the government, it's not from the people.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a different way than the other.
Yes, precisely. But we do not differentiate what is government, GovTech, Civic Tech. I mean, in both cases, it's societal challenges. I mean, the government agencies are not there because they have to be there. They are there for society, I hope. So basically, I think what is common between these two is like there are challenges in society and in the world that we need to solve together. And then of course, agencies are, the maturity level between agencies can vary differently. Some agencies are really open already from start, others are not due to legislation's problems perhaps, or their idea of what legislation hinder that might be.
So when you say like the Civic Tech is try to involve the the people to join to do something together?
Well, maybe Adrian has a good definition of GovTech. This is like an initiative from the government to kind of make use of data as a strategic resource to solve societal challenges. So I would not say it must necessarily be challenges that the agencies post. It could equally be like the Civic Techs might have seen certain societal challenges, and perhaps we can collaborate with the agencies in some way. That might result in projects that can either be funded by governments partially or privately funded by I don't know, VCs, for example.
Very interesting concept. Are there, I haven't browsed the website, but are there challenges there that need to be solved, or are you looking for challenges?
We have we recently concluded two, one from PTS with regards to digitization, open to whoever is needed, and recently this Hackspace. The one that's posted right now is a hackathon in Södertälje next year, and this month I'm working with in Swedish is called Ombuds platform, which is working with logistic data up in the north. So that challenge will be coming out. I think we hope to be out with it in December before Christmas. But as for next year, we do not have a confirmed plan yet, so it's open for suggestions. Yeah, so it could be in any field, but of course we have, if there are many people asking for support, both in terms of facilitation or money or stuff, then perhaps we might have to use this area to help us to prioritize, but we are not there yet.
Okay. Yeah, I think I am one. I don't know if anyone has one more question. Oh, yeah. Would you have a question?
As we are talking about including making this community, Civic Tech community more inclusive.
Can you put it closer to you, I think?
It's muted, yeah. So as we are talking today about in making the Civic Tech ecosystem more inclusive towards women, I would like to know if there are any kind of initiatives or any kind of activity that you guys have done to bring more women into this sort of challenges or hackathons or innovation activities.
When we deliver a challenge, we always try 50-50 in the jury group. So that's what we try to aim for, and so far succeeded. But I think we have a lot to learn as to how to package the challenges so that attracts women. We will be doing a retrospective with regards to space challenge, Hackspace, because it was really successful in attracting women in joining the challenge. Whereas in general, the first few challenges we delivered, there were a lot of male companies, male-based companies, and a few women. So I'm not too sure the competition part of it might scare sometimes. But it's definitely something we work actively with. it depends on the field. With I was supposed like space tech when before I joined the working group. I was thinking it must be male dominated, which has always been. But I guess Karin is like a role model in that sense, and perhaps that's one of the reasons that when we ask the students that, oh, why did you decide to join this challenge even though you are not studying space tech? And they kind of said that basically it's this UN sustainability goals that kind of is a soft framework that attracts, and then partially even that Karin and many of the team members are women in tech that are kind of role models, I would say. Yep. More questions?
Hi. With the fear of not wanting to ask too complex of a question, what stage is the current system for developing the challenges? I mean, what is the general mechanism? I mean, in a simple way. And has anybody discussed the possibility of perhaps a future participatory mechanism for challenges? Maybe a component of them or something of that sort, as in opening the creation process to the public?
I'm not too sure I understand the question. Can you simplify it?
I was trying to simplify, but I mean, has anybody discussed or brought up the possibility of a participatory mechanism? So, for example,
as in from the general public, or
exactly for the challenges.
Well, in the government mission, this is not stated primarily, even though they do state that the democracy is one part of it that could be a result of opening up with open data and having such open challenges. But I think it's something that we should definitely consider, because one more kind of hypothesis which I have is, well, social entrepreneurs, for example, they don't do it for all profit only. They see societal challenges. How can we involve and support them to bring their ideas that they really are like burning forward? I'm not too sure exactly how we should involve the citizens. The primary focus right now is like either tech-savvy people or perhaps some kind of interest in how digitalization can be used to solve societal challenges in the beginning. Because one disadvantage with data-driven is that it's quite a big hurdle to go past that, especially if we're combining data from different agencies. But we are, of course, trying. Vinnova has this data lab that kind of will be helping this to decrease the threshold of being able to use this data in general. But I think we have a long way to go if we don't increase the rate of change. Yep. You had a question?
Are we done? I had a small last question, but I think we're done. Yeah, I was wondering if a group of hackers, maybe from the Civic Tech community, thinks your website sucks and decide to replace the O by a 0 in Challenge Golf 0. Well, how would you react?
Well, the thing is that my idea when we soft launched is that we would use challenge.gov.se, but we have got a no from them. From the ARIKOA. So I was thinking I will be talking to them tomorrow.
Because I think Adrian has gov0.se. You own the domain name. So if you want to create,
No one else takes it.
Okay.
We could use it. I have.
So that could be a possible solution.
That was my rubbish question.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Angela. So coming back to Civic Tech, I would like to talk about Civic Tech in Nepal. As I mentioned earlier, and I'm from Nepal, and I have worked for past 2 years, more than 2 years in the field of Civic Tech. I was working in an organization called Kathmandu Living Labs, where I helped build different tools. I provided trainings to different civil society organizations, and I was basically involved with bringing developing the civic ecosystem in Nepal. So to talk about Nepal, Nepal is a developing country, as you, some of you might know. It's a country in Asia which is in a developing phase. In Civic Tech community in Nepal, there are 3 actors to it. Is the government, organization, and citizens. This is the government, and this is the logo of government in Nepal. These are the citizens, for say example that I put. These are the women participating in election in Nepal, holding their voters' ID. So one of the initiative that is taken by the government itself, what happens, what is the civic tech ecosystem like in Nepal is that it's interrelationship sometimes between the government, the society, and the citizens and the organization, and sometimes it's independently carried out by the government itself. One of those movements that was carried out directly by the government, including the citizens, was Hello Sarkar, which is Hello Government movement, where the in this movement, it was basically a platform through social media like Facebook, Twitter, Hangouts, and a lot of other platforms where citizens can communicate directly with the government. What was interesting about it is that it is handled by the head of the Prime Minister, and it was handled directly through the Prime Minister's office, so it was more effective that way. So this platform, in this platform, there were a lot of complaints about the public services and suggestion to the government directly, and those complaints were then redirected to the authority, the concerned authority, and that's how it operated. So it was a big success with 84,107 complaints from citizens across many districts in Nepal, from rural areas as well, using their toll-free numbers that they had provided. And among those, 65,777 problems have been sorted out. That is 78.20% problems were sorted out, and it was an initiative that created a good impact in citizens, that government is doing something for them. They are listening and they are acting to their problems and suggestions. So one of the other things that government of Nepal did was, we had a massive earthquake, 7.8 magnitude earthquake on April 2015. After that, there was a lot of destruction going on. 3.2 million people were homeless. A lot of people were dead. Some were injured. Their housing and everything was destructed. So after that, the government played a very crucial role in reconstruction of those buildings and managing everything. So for that, the ideal way was to conduct a survey to do an assessment of what was the quality, what was the level of damage, and how can it be better solved. So for this, the government of Nepal, along with our organization, Kathmandu Living Labs, what we did was a digital survey that was based on a platform called Open Data Kit ODK. And we did a survey of each and every household using this survey developed mobile app. As you can see, 3,000 surveyors on a daily basis right after the earthquake went to each and every household and asked information about the damage, the loss they had to go through, and all these data were collected, and these data were stored in the Central Bureau of Statistics, the government agency of Nepal. So during this digital survey, 1.5 million buildings, I would like to say that this is one of the biggest survey held in the world in such a small fraction of time to collect 10 terabytes of data. 3,000 surveyors were recruited. They were engineers, other civil servants, volunteers. They were recruited in the 36 earthquake-affected districts, and they interviewed and collected data of 8 million individuals. So this was one of the things that government vouched for, and they turned their way of standard paper surveys and changed it to the digital survey that made a huge impact in the recovery phase right after the earthquake. Moving on, The government of Nepal has changed into a federal structure. Now we have municipalities, and this municipality holds some power now. As it has changed its structure. So the municipality have started doing their initiatives to digitalize platforms. For say, they have started publishing their budgets, and in this similar way, we helped 2 of the municipalities in Nepal to develop their portals and open up their budgets so that they can be accountable to the citizens, and they can share what they have been investing on, what are the project ongoings, and what spending like, and what they are earning their revenues from. So the civic tech ecosystem in Nepal is not that big, but it's quite commendable what we have achieved so far. There are a lot of organizations, but I have mentioned few that work corely in the field of civic tech. One of these is Kathmandu Living Labs. It's a civic tech organization which aims to bring data, technology, and people together. That's where I have worked previously. Another one is Young Innovation. This is also it's a private company, but works more in the field of civic tech. That's why I have kept it here as a civic tech organization in Nepal. Another one is Open Knowledge Nepal, which is a chapter of Open Knowledge International. They have been doing a lot of projects, and I would mention a few of them later on as well. Another one is Bikas Udyami, Freedom Forum, and all these organizations have done quite commendable work, which I will mention later on as well. So as I mentioned before about the earthquake that hit Nepal in 2015, during that time, Kathmandu Living Labs developed a platform called quakemap.org, which is on with Usaidi platform, if you have heard about it. So it's a platform where you can, it can act as a medium for those who seek help and those who want to provide help. So in the time of earthquake, there were people who were trying to reach out for help. They were willing to help those who were safe and wanted to help, constantly trying to connect to the people, and the people who were in need of help were constantly looking for help. So we built this platform where the organizations that are in the remote places of Nepal, like Red Cross Society and other volunteering organizations, could post the issue about what they are lacking. For say, they are lacking food supplies, they are lacking sanitation and health materials. So they would fill a report like this here, and then they would say which place is it, and then they would post that. So we, from this quakemap.org, this platform of USAID, we collected 2,200 reports in Nepal for the relief, and this report were used by Nepal Army, the Army of Nepal, for constantly rescuing the people and then providing the materials and things like that. So as I mentioned, the organization Open Knowledge Nepal, which is a chapter of Open Knowledge International, they have this platform called Ask Nepal, where you can ask the authority about the information that you want. So it's a platform where you can directly ask to the agency that you want that you want information from directly. So it is one of the initiatives by Open Knowledge Nepal, and they have been doing quite impressive work. So another one is Open Data Portal, where there are 702 data sets about different types of, for say, procurement data, the data about the disaster that we had, and other data that people can easily access and create meaning out of them as they want. So another portal is the Open Data Portal for the earthquake. The data that we collected from the survey that we did, the the data is now available in the platform that we developed, where you can access the information about the different districts, the distribution of socio-economic factors, or for say what they use as their cooking fuel. This sort of detail-oriented data are available in this portal. So as I mentioned, we work. So I worked in a civic tech organization, and we worked with civil societies as well. So what we felt during this process of developing the open data portal, working closely with them, that they lack the understanding of, they lack the knowledge of how to use the ICT tools effectively in their daily communication, or even using them for their work efficiently. So we provided ICT trainings for CSOs. We provided these trainings to the 36 district representative of 30 districts in different places of Nepal, and we were able to train more than 80 CSOs from 36 districts in 2018. They were taught how to use these ICT tools, communication, basic from docs to Excel to basic tools, how they can use those tools for their effective communication, and they can create a standard of the work that they are currently doing using these ICT tools. So as I talked earlier about organization and government, what they have been doing, I would like to talk about one thing that I, as a person, started back in Nepal with support from a lot of other volunteers who also felt that that was necessary. So that was the toilet mapping initiative in Nepal. So how this initiative started was, Nepal, Kathmandu is a very dense city compared to the other cities, as it is capital city of Nepal. The population is 4.5 million, and there are only 84 public toilets. So when I commute, it takes me 1 hour to reach to my office, and then 1 hour back. So what happened was, during my menstruation period, I'm allergic to sanitary pads, and I need to change it frequently. So what happened was, it was getting really difficult for me as I was working. So I thought, if there are only 84 public toilets, why not the restaurants and other organizations open their toilets for people who are in need? Just for when there is the opening hour of office, what if they open the toilet for public who want to use, not just for women, but also for other people who want to use it, because it's about sanitation and it's necessary. So I started simply by mapping the toilet and opening. On the old toilet day, we open our office toilet. So for everyone who would want to come to use our toilet in case of necessity, we open our toilet, and we started this movement. After that, a lot of volunteers were interested to know about this initiative, and they came to us, and they wanted to learn mapping. We opened this toilet using the mapping initiative that I mentioned in OpenStreetMap, where you can just put a point, that is a toilet. The point is a toilet. You can just put a point and say what is the access right, how you can access it, if it charges or not. We went to a lot of restaurants, even to the police station, and they were very receptive about that. And earlier there were 84 public toilets. And now after this initiative, there are 193 toilets, and the process is still going on. We have received a fund to develop the toilet mapping initiative further, and implementation is going on. So that's how citizens come together when they feel that that's the problem that we need to solve. So that's how the civic tech ecosystem in Nepal is, and it's very developing. There are quite a lot of organizations evolving, and excited to work in this field and solve the problems of society, hold the government accountable, and work collaboratively and develop a civic tech ecosystem. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions.
You. Super interesting. Really impressive work you've done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a really basic question, but how did you find out that there were only 84 to begin with? Were they, what was that listed somewhere, or?
So as I was thinking of, I do a lot of mapping, as I was thinking of it would be mapped, but I didn't find any toilets mapped. So when I look at the government sites and look for the data, there was written the information of 84 toilets that were not mapped, but there was the information in the PDF version. So yeah, that's how it started. Yeah, we contacted the authority as well, and we got to know that there are only 84 toilets, as it's really dense and there are no place to build toilets. So that's what they think. That's how it started. Yeah.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, compared to Gov0, which seems to be a very loosely unorganized network, do you have more of an organization around civic tech in Nepal, or is it the same kind of, I don't know, initiatives that are formed loosely and then they emerge and they do the work, then they disappear, or are you more of an organization?
So there are not much such organizations that work corely civic tech, or they have been working for a long period of time. But Kathmandu Living Labs, and there are other Open Knowledge Nepal organizations that are well established, well registered, and then they are basically all with civic tech projects, not going to all the other fields, but focusing on one path and have been taking it and making it sustainable so far. Yeah.
And I was also thinking, based on your experience being in Sweden now, a couple of years, so what do you think would be the best way for us forward, comparing in the Swedish ecosystem?
Yeah. So it's been only about 3 months that I'm here in Sweden, and I'm getting to know about the civic tech in Sweden. I'm thinking of ideas. I have a lot of experience back in Nepal, the kind of the things that I've done. I'm looking for a right platform or right kind of group to start something. I need to do a little bit of research. For that, I'm working with PR and the Civic Tech Sweden as a community, so that we can work together and maybe work for something very meaningful to the society and each and every one of us.
Super inspiring, and really the toilet mapping initiative, great. You should be so proud of what you have done. Maybe a bit of a specific question on the first project example that you had about the this complaints service. I think those kinds of civic tech solutions, you see them in many places, also in Sweden, in many cities you can find similar things. And one issue that is raised here with those types of initiatives is that the local authority will receive more complaints, but will they be able to handle them? So do you know how this process was thought through in Nepal? Because I think the numbers seem quite
a lot,
right? Yeah.
So I've not been directly involved in this whole process, but from what I know, there's a dedicated department within the head of so what made this initiative a little bit different and sustainable was the Prime Minister was reacting directly to the initiative. When you call, you hear the voice of Prime Minister. That would create a very different kind of impact, right? So there is a dedicated unit within the government, not outside, not the other organization lobbying for it or not anything, but the government itself organized into that would receive the calls from remote areas using the free voice call, messages and everything. A dedicated team is always required to make such initiative go longer and then sustain, I guess.
Thank you. Excellent initiative. I was wondering about the earthquake map and the digital tool to request help. Do you know how they tackled lack of internet in the rural areas after an earthquake?
So what is the state like in Nepal is in rural Red Cross Society, Mercy Corps, and a lot of other voluntary organizations were in charge of that, and they, with the data support they would get from the Nepal army or the government, they would post a bulk of request when they have internet connection. Yeah, that's how it worked.
We good on time, but it's also good to have more time for a discussion. So if you want, we can move on in the program. So and we will have more time too.
So moving on, I would like Adrian to talk about Vinnova funding and share what he thinks would be good for us to apply for, and then what we can do with it. Yeah.
Where is the money?
Yeah.
Okay. So. Thanks for letting me say a few words about Vinnova's funding on Civic Tech. I'll try to be quite brief and short on this, as I think there is actually another Civic Tech Sweden meetup coming in just a couple of weeks, which is entirely dedicated to this. Oh, next week.
Yeah. 28th.
Thursday the 28th, yeah. Okay, so at Vinnova, which is the Swedish government's innovation agency, we provide grants funding to innovation projects. So, we provide grants funding to a whole range of different types of projects in society. But right now we have a special call for proposals for projects in the field of civic tech. This is for developing new digital services with a focus on enhancing trust between public sector and citizens. And why we do this at Vinnova, it's connected actually to digital transformation of public services. We see that as more and more public services go digital, it also has a bearing on trust, and we see that trust can be a really good driver for the public sector to enhance its services. And it is possible to apply for this funding for projects that will develop new services that enhance trust between citizens and public sector. You can apply if you are a legal entity. That means as a private person or just as a loose group of private persons, you cannot apply, but you have to be organized as a legal entity. That means either as a startup or a private company, or as a registered civil society organization, in Swedish förening, I guess, and also universities, academia, research institutions, and of course public sector organizations can apply. You have to be at least 2 different legal entities to apply, so we want to see cooperation between organizations who apply for this funding. And yeah, I guess I will finish there. If you want to know more, of course you can now talk to me, but you will have even more information in this next meetup in a week's time. And also, of course, Vinnova's website, vinnova.se. If you just search for Civic Tech there, you will find this more information on this call for proposals. All right. Yeah. If you have any questions now, I can, of course, try to answer them. Yeah.
I had a question. How would you see as Vinnova, and as so my interest is when I read your application, your call for project, is that it's a bit closer to GovTech and to like the link with the public sector is made really clear. So how would you see civic tech sector like the one we saw in Taiwan in Sweden? Would you welcome that as a representative of Vinnova, or which projects would you? Yeah, how would you like the civic tech community to evolve in Sweden, closer to the government, or maybe more as a contradiction to the government, to some of the ways the government is working right now?
I don't think we really have an opinion on that question, but indeed, I mean, maybe this call for proposal still says something about an unintended opinion, and so we definitely want to see civil society engage more in the development of public sector digital services. And that is something that we want to stimulate with the help of this call for proposals. However, like a really grassroots movement like Gov0 in Taiwan, it would be really difficult probably to finance it through this type of call for proposal as you have to be a legal entity, as I mentioned. However, I mean, one, let's say, motive in the background of making this call for proposals is actually to help stimulate a civic tech ecosystem in Sweden. And even though we cannot give grants directly to just, making grassroots movement happen, we would be happy to see such a movement happen for sure. Yeah.
You moved. Sorry. Yeah, as Adrian said, we're gonna have another meetup on next Thursday, which is gonna be, I hope, at least as interesting as this one, which is hard to meet. We're gonna have one international guest from Germany, from Open Knowledge Germany, Adriana Gro, who is a rock star. You will see her in all the Civic Tech conferences. So we thought, why not have her as well? And we're gonna talk more focused on like how can we build a Civic Tech ecosystem, how can we build it sustainably, and how can we use the money that Vinnova is putting on the table. Yeah, that's basically it. And how also if you come with an idea, just a new idea, the goal is also that you be able to find partners, maybe government organizations or other companies that also have a similar idea and that you can build an application together. So that's really this much, the kind of blind date. You should have a blind date attitude when you go to that meetup and be like, yeah, I want to find a partner for Civic Tech. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Adrian. So the final part of this meetup, and one of the things that I personally wanted to talk about and get to know your views about is, do we want a feminist civic tech community in Sweden? Already so the answer, yeah. So as we discussed and we heard about different initiatives, different projects in different part of the world about civic tech, we get to know about what actually is civic tech. For some of you it was new, but I hope you found it interesting and would like to actually contribute and work in it. So do you think, sorry, maybe I'll continue with other slides as it is not working. Just a second. Yeah. So what do you think? Should we start something like a feminist, I would say feminist civic tech community, or a small group with what we have learned today and to help to take it further? What do you think? I just saw the answer yes, but you can say no if you want, because I want honest opinions. Yeah. What do you think after this? If any one of you would like to say, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously yes, but I have a question. How would a feminist civic tech movement be different in its values from just the civic tech movement? Should just not the civic tech movement just be inherently feminist in its values?
Yes, that's something we want to discuss, and we will discuss a little bit later. Yeah. What do you all think? It depends, yeah. We need to discuss first.
Okay.
So, as we heard about, as I mentioned about OpenHeroines and what kind of work they do and what kind of support that you can have with that community. So, if we form such a group in Sweden, of civic feminist group in Sweden, we will have a connection that we can always stay updated with. We can share our work. It need not to be just with Civic Tech or anything. We can complain, rant about our daily work life. If we face some kind of bias or we are not satisfied with anything, we can just go and share. That I have personally done that, and that has provided me a sense of satisfaction hearing that other women from different parts of the world also feel the same, and they have faced the same problem as I have done. So that can be one way. It's a rough idea just to say that, just to vouch for, we need to have that feminist Civic Tech community. So other thing that we can do in the community is we can share, collaborate, and we can share our ideas. We can just maybe I have some ideas. We can do some mapathons and editathons. That is mapathons, not just only for, if we want, we can do only for the women community, for let's say for community mapping for safety of women, or in general mapping of the community, or community to understand the community better. We can map, and we can do mapathons as well. If we want, we can do editathons. That is, as you guys might know or not know, there's a very big gender gap in Wikipedia articles. If you see, there are really less number of articles about women than the men. So as a community, we can do editathons, and we can write articles about women that we find inspiring, and that we want to let the world know about their work. We can do something as that as well. While I was talking about the rant that I did few times in the community, and other women also gave back the same reply, that they have also faced that, and they are not satisfied with it, or they find it very disturbing for them. So we can do something like open monologue. If you know about open monologue, Open Heroines have done quite a few of monologues, and monologues is something when you anonymously share your views freely, what you feel about. If you have a problem, it need not to be a problem, your views, anything that you want to share. You collect that, and you, as a storytelling way, you present everything like you feel it, actually feel the problem, you have faced that. So that's one of the ideas that we can pursue. We can do open monologues, open gender monologues. That can be some few ways that we can continue this meetup, not just only limit to this meetup and then go back on our own ways, but to form a community and stay connected. There can be other few ideas from you as well. Yeah, that's what I have thought, and I want your views on this. Yeah. Anyone wants to share anything? Yeah.
40 minutes, yeah. I'll keep it shorter. No, I guess I'm on the same page as you might be. How do we start a civic tech movement and perhaps add the gender aspect to that and have like a channel for those things? Because I'm not that experienced in these communities, so of course I haven't really experienced all those things that you may be describing. So to me, it's more like building a civic tech movement with feminist values. I'd say, yeah. So we don't need to have a perfect answer, or we need not to be clear, but we can just start by creating just a channel. We have, as I mentioned, we have a civic tech chat group. We can just create a channel there about, the name can be anything. I have kept the name Open Heroines Sweden. It can be anything that we collaboratively want. Then we can create a channel, and then we can maybe discuss, share, and see how it goes. If it goes well, then we can continue. We can have meetups, and then we can eventually form a small group. That's how we can start, I think, a rough start. Yeah. Does anyone have to say anything? Yeah.
Is it feminist in terms of females only? Because in Sweden you have a wider definition of that. So men too, that supports feminist movement. So
what I think about this is we take this group as women and non-binary, and if there are men, so this what happens is we can have different channels as it grows. If it's about rant and things we don't want to share with men, then it can be a closed channel. Otherwise, it can be open, and men can play a role to support us as well. It's open that way. If you think that it.
Because I think most of the time you need men in the process to
Mm-hmm.
move things on.
We need. Yeah. Maybe some men want to say something. Anyone has? Mm-hmm.
I can say something really shortly. I really don't know what a feminist civic tech community would like. I mean, I can see really good examples in other countries, but what I can say is I've been organizing civic tech meetups in Stockholm for 1.5 years now, and it's a lot of white dudes, and it's really boring. And just now this meetup where we decided we would organize it in partnership with OpenHeroines, and then we have these really cool speakers, and I think it's the best meetup we've ever had. And so. I just want that we move with it and we continue to improve, because it's really needed. I can really see the difference, and this is part of the civic tech community that I love. It's also because we're so many women, so much inclusiveness, and that we still have a lot of challenges, I think, with diversity. But it's a lot better. I've worked in finance, in other fields as well. Civic tech is the best by far in terms of inclusiveness, and it's also really open to reflect on its problems. There's a lot of open channels, safe spaces. So that's, I think the problem with Civic Tech Sweden is so small that you kind of feel, first we're going to grow and then we're going to become inclusive. And I don't think it works this way. I think we need to do it from the start and tackle it and get it right if we want to grow in a good way. But that's already talking too much. So I think,
the idea you talk about is very similar to the organization like some events I was attending. I know at least 3 for women into technology and coding, but they almost fulfill what you have said, like making a dialogue and everything. Do you have any idea what can be the next step? Except that, those things you mentioned, and the other question is, are those organizations also a part of Civic Tech USA? Yeah.
So, to answer that, I need to know in detail about what these organizations do, and maybe I will talk with you later on, and then we can figure the things out. For the plans, talking about the things that you said. These are the rough ideas that I had, and so it's open for everyone to share. These are the things that I feel would be a good start. Then if you feel something else, something that you can train other people on, the knowledge that you have, and we can gather and then share. Maybe you can train something on, you say you were starting about software development, and then things like that. It can be open for any kind of ideas. So that's what I've thought at this point. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just going ahead now, but I have just a question of how have you in Nepal worked to actively reach out to people so that they know what Civic Tech is and that they can join and they can participate, that it exists? Because I think perhaps that might be an issue in Sweden, like the term Civic Tech. What is it? I think a lot of people have never even heard the word. So how have you worked to reach out to become what you are today in Nepal, so to speak?
Yeah. So during my bachelor's studies back in Nepal, I studied computer science degree. So by that, I mean I only knew about coding. I didn't knew about Civic Tech exist. So the answer to your question would be, I was engaged with women leaders in technology, a community where a group of women come together and they code, and then they try to develop their leadership and other skills. I was the board member for that organization, and when I found about Civic Tech through a hackathon I participated in, and I eventually got involved with Kathmandu Living Labs. What I did as a woman in the field of women in technology, I did was I organized mapathons. I gave presentation to the women leaders in technology group, each batch of fellows, about what is Civic Tech, what is it, and what you can do. So that way the community and the women in general, I used to provide trainings and other information sessions to my university and other universities as well. That's how people got interested in civic tech, and that's how the number of women gradually increased, and they were willing to volunteer in such projects. Yeah.
Like more of a reflection about trying to start grassroots movements and engage people. And I think it relates a little bit to the question that I asked to the person who was presenting from Taiwan, like to find what motivates people and what is the driving force. What would be the driving force behind a civic tech movement in Sweden? What is kind of the problem or the issue that the civic tech movement is trying to solve? And I'm not so sure that we certainly don't have a common view of that. And I think it probably needs to be discussed somehow in order to be able to articulate what this movement potentially is about and what issues it would tackle.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So if you guys don't have anything to say right now, we can just wrap up and then we can mingle up and talk more about it. Yeah, thank you for being patient and coming to this meetup. Thank you so much. Yeah.